Welcome to another installment of Friday Q&A, or as somebody suggested, T and A. Apparently that's a pun or something like that, but I don't know why. As always, thank you so much for this week's questions. If you have questions for next week, put them in the comments below. If you want to support the channel, links to the Patreon and the music I make with my band Ragdoll is linked in the video description. I would appreciate it. You also don't have to do it. Enjoy this content for free. That's part of the reason why I make it. It's wonderful putting stuff out on the internet, and if people want to watch it, they can. If they want to contribute, they can. If they don't want to, they can just walk on by. That's one of the wonderful things going on right here. Speaking of walking on by, I walked past this guitar today. It's a 2002 Hamer Artist, and I realized I've not played this guitar all year, so I'm going to use it on the Q&A. It's got Duncan 59s in it. Wonderful, wonderful guitar. Would recommend if you see any of these USA Hamers used, snaffle them because they're really quite impressive instruments. I got this set up with a clean sound at the moment. I've been doing some kind of reverb freeze stuff. It sounds like this. Like I said, wonderful sounding guitar. It's kind of like a Les Paul and a 335 had a baby. But I'm not here to talk about just this guitar. I'm here to answer some of your questions. So let's get straight into it. Where's my beanie? Here's my beanie. I'm not wearing it much at the moment because it is the middle of summer here. But just for all of you, let's go full Jimbo Jones and put this thing on. It's like a big, big warm hug. You know, when you're a kid and, I don't know, somebody significantly larger than you just envelops you. That's how I feel wearing this beanie. I look totally ridiculous now, but that's kind of the point. I think that's what a lot of people who watch my videos where I'm wearing the beanie don't understand. I'm well aware of how ridiculous I look. You pointing it out maybe says a little bit more about you than it does about me. Or does it? Let me know in the comments below. Have I tried the head rush, either the gig board or the fully fledged head rush? One of my students has one. You should go and check out Miles Green on YouTube. Miles is an amazing player and he's got some really good videos with the head rush. I've played his for all of 10 minutes. We dialed in some sounds on it and he showed me how it works with the touch screen. I really should borrow that thing and dial in some stuff on it because, like I said, I kind of haven't had a whole bunch of time on it. It wasn't like the most mind-blowingly great sounding amp model that I've ever heard, although Miles was running his through his DSL effects return and that sounded pretty slamming. So I really should revisit it just to be fair and just before I pass any more judgment on anything like that. Speaking of modelers in effects loops, I was asked about trying out the Axe effects just as a preamp. So for example, running it into my Boogie Mark IV preamp and having a listen to how the Boogie Mark IV model stacks up. I think that's a pretty good idea for a video. I'm going to go ahead and do that at some point over the next month. Thank you to whoever suggested that one. Chris Oliver's guitar tone. I would love to do a video on that. I still kind of feel the same way I do about any time like covering a classic tone. You know, there's actually quite a bit of research that goes into it. If you haven't watched my Sabotage 5 Killer Riffs, that was probably one of the most fun videos I've ever put together, and the sounds I used on that, I just kind of did my thing. I basically used my Ragdoll Live preset. So it might be interesting to go and just kind of dissect his tone. If anybody knows anything about the specific gear he used or can point me to articles or anyone who's actually done the work and kind of figured out what he was using, especially in terms of like cabinets and mics and studio stuff, I'd be pretty interested to know about that because I bought all the Sabotage re-releases on CD and I would sit there and just read the really dense liner notes that Paul O'Neill did over and over again, and I found those really informative and really interesting. So yeah, Chris had a great guitar sound, big guitar sound, big inspiration. What was my job before being a guitar player? And, you know, this is an interesting question because I started teaching guitar when I was 15 or 16. So I've kind of been doing it my entire life. I did go to university. I studied mathematics and science. So I've got a degree and all that stuff. I've never really worked in that field aside from just tutoring, teaching high school kids how to do stuff, and some uni students and things like that. So that was pretty fun and pretty rewarding. I figured that if I wasn't playing music, I would probably be doing something like that. I really do enjoy teaching. So, and I do love maths and science. And anyone who knows me knows they just have to ask a single question and they'll get like a 45-minute spoken word performance about a topic, as you all do when I just start rambling here. So yeah, I would probably be in some kind of technical role, but also teaching as well. I'm kind of glad I'm not an academic though, because playing guitar is way more fun than having to worry about like applying for research funding. And shout out to anybody there who is an academic at a university. I don't know how you all do it and stay sane. Maybe that's the point. Maybe you don't stay sane. All right. Have I listened to much goth rock stuff like The Cure and the Sisters of Mercy? Not really. I never really went through a massive phase like that. I don't mind, I guess, some of the peripheral genres around that, like new wave and a bunch of the other stuff that was happening in the 80s. Obviously, all the rock and metal stuff, you all know that. But yeah, I've never really gone on a Cure binge or anything like that. Maybe I should. Everything I hear, I always kind of go, there's interesting sounds on the albums, which is one of the coolest things. I think, a lot of the time people focus on like the stylistic aspects, and of course it was the MTV generation, so doing stuff for video was really important. But lots of fun guitar sounds anytime I hear stuff like that on the radio. Might be an idea for a video at some point. Leon finally becomes a goth. Imagine that. The Angels, as they're known in the United States and markets abroad, Angel City. The best way I can describe this is, when you grow up playing music, inevitably, if you're going to go and play guitar music, you're going to go and play in pub rock cover bands in Australia. And probably the second or third most requested band ever. You're playing, you have your set break, you're sipping your tea, and some guy comes up to you, some burly bloke, who goes, "Mate, you blokes sound sick. Play any Angels?" And yeah, we don't play any Angels. We really should. It would probably make those conversations go over a whole lot easier. But they are honestly like one of the quintessential Aussie pub rock bands. If you didn't have AC/DC but you still had the Angels, then I think no one would. This is a controversial thing to say, but I don't think anyone would really know the difference a lot of the time, because the state a lot of people are in, they just want that like four to the floor pounding boogie rock. The Angels do that as good as anybody else out there. I've never seen them, never got to see them live with Doc Neeson. I haven't seen the current incarnation. I think they're doing it with the frontman from the Screaming Jets at the moment. And, funny coincidence, this actually wasn't planned, but I know the Rick Brewster was like one of the first Australians to own a Hamer guitar. So that's kind of cool, little connection right there. Speaking of which, let me play a bit with this. I've got a fuzz in here. And I really like the fuzz face in the Axe FX3, especially with lots of reverb. Especially if you do this, you use the reverb hold and you like freeze a chord, and then you try to Eric Johnson over it. If you want to hear somebody do that really, really well, you should go and watch John Cordy's YouTube channel. Yeah, I've been doing all the free stuff because of John. All his videos are very, very good. And he's a very, very good guitar player and a very good teacher as well. Jonathan Cordy on YouTube. Yeah, love his stuff. Definitely a dude to check out. Let's keep rolling with these questions. Have I tried to emulate a space echo in the Axe FX3? I haven't, but let me bring up, there's a preset by the one and only Matt Picone. Matt Picone. He'll find that funny. But yeah, shout out to Matt. Buy my stuff, Matt. And where is this preset? It's called Echoplex Juniors. And it's pretty awesome. There's a very, very good echo preset. There's a reverb on that, but if you go in and I think his preset is up on the Fractal forum, Eplex JRS, that's what's going on there. Let's have a listen to this with maybe a spring reverb right at the end. Spring reverb, I think the deluxe spring is the one I like the sound of in here. It would be way easier if you could see what I'm doing, but let's just add a bit of that, and then this sounds even cooler. There's even a block you can engage to get that tape hiss. It's just a synth block with some noise, but I really like that. It gives you that kind of driven echo preamp. But I guess that is probably more an Echoplex style preset rather than a space echo. Adding the spring reverb at the end is kind of cool, but if anyone's going to do it, it's probably going to be Matt. So if you head over to the Fractal forum, go and pester Matt to make a really good space echo preset, because yeah, very few people understand this machine as well as he does. Where's the molecular? Again, I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. It's down at friend of the channel, Troy Naberband's studio. It's being used on some records at the moment. I am missing it. I really do want to get it back at some point and make some more videos with it, but it's around, it's getting used. Don't worry, it's not sitting in a dungeon anywhere, just collecting dust. It's getting used as these things should. Do I do my own setups? I've mentioned a bunch of times that I've been getting my stuff set up by Tim over at MT Guitars, who does an amazing job. He's got a full like Plex station there, so the data you can get from that is really, really good. And he's like revived and rescued a bunch of my guitars, including my 77 Strat. But a lot of the time, and for most of my life, I've done my own setups. I don't know if I'm the guy to do a video about how to set up your guitar, because that just feels like a whole can of worms. It feels a little bit like if I started a fitness channel on YouTube. I would just be doing things wrong that make people really, really upset, and I don't think I'm comfortable potentially having people ruin guitars because of my like bush mechanic skills. But you know, I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of touring with my band, and you know, you get in those situations where you go from I remember we did a show, where was it, Durango, Colorado or somewhere, and it's like, anyway, we drove through the Rockies, and then the next show was like somewhere down in New Mexico or something like that. So it was like really massive changes in climate, and my guitars, the setup just went on them. So a lot of the time it was like truss rod adjustments, tweaking little things on the bridge, and there are a bunch of like really easy setup tricks that you can do, and just knowing how to adjust a truss rod is probably one of the best of those, and knowing how to change your own strings and set your own intonation. And there's already great videos out there on the internet. So yeah, I will probably do some more videos with Tim over at MT very soon, because kind of got an old 335 sitting here where the frets are totally shot, and that might be a really, really interesting restoration video. If you want to see that, let me know, and I will do my best to get on that over the next couple of months. All right, the old Halo delays. Let me, again, you can't see what's going on. Let's go to some preset with heaps of gain, which I have here. So I've done quite a few videos talking about how I like to dial in delay. I've got a delay block here at the moment set for a quarter note and a dotted eighth note delay, basically 500 milliseconds-ish on one side, 375 on another. If you want that reverby sound out of it, what you've got to do is crank up the diffusion. So that is found in the tone/duck section of the Axe-Fx 3 delay block. So this is with no diffusion. Where's my sound? There's a lesson for you all, kids. If you make a mistake, just... And suddenly it sounds intentional. Okay, if you put the diffusion to about 40%, it's kind of going to wash out the repeats. That's what I really, really like on a lot of these. I like to do that with the multi-tap delay as well. Set up a bit of chorus on some of the delays, a bit of diffusion. Probably my favorite delay effect ever, and that's what I use live as well. I'm pretty sure the timeline, which I know Andy Timmons uses, has a diffusion parameter in some of the delay blocks, which kind of used to be like an exclusive to Lexicon style thing, and the timeline has a great delay pedal. I'm pretty sure the Boss DD series, the 500 has it, and of course the Axe-Fx 3 has it in its delay block. So yeah, what you want for that finishing touch is some diffusion and probably a lot of high cut as well. How to get that big creamy John Sykes lead tone from the neck pickup. What pickup do you use? I don't know. I think kind of any neck humbucker will probably do the trick, whether the magnets really play a big deal in there. I think it's just lots and lots and lots and lots of gain. Let me try it on this. So this is with lots of gain, but then I can put lots and lots of gain on. I'm not claiming that's a great John Sykes tone at all, but this is just a stock Duncan 59 humbucker, and it feels and sounds pretty creamy to my ears. So I think it's just all about lots and lots of gain, so you have all that sustain in there as well. We talked about the halo delays. If you're just a bedroom guitarist and maybe you want to do a little bit of recording at home and you don't have a lot of desk space, should you get an Axe-Fx 3 or an FM3? Well, the Axe-Fx 3 is rack mountable, so if you don't have a lot of desk space, it's going to take up a lot of space on the desk, but you could always mount it on a keyboard stand, like next to your desk, racked up, and then that way you've got your whole desk. That would be handy. The FM3 is obviously smaller, but if you only need like the vanilla stuff, you just need like amp, cab, delay, reverb, the FM3 is going to do everything you want to do. The Axe-Fx 3 is just going to be a little bit more like the Sizzler salad bar. You're going to get as much of it as you want without any restrictions at all. So yeah, either of those, just kind of think about your budget. You probably, if you've got $2,000 to spend, get an FM3 and spend the rest of it on a really good set of studio monitors. Or say you had $2,500, spend $1,000 on the FM3, $1,500 on monitors, rather than like $2,000 on the Axe and $500 on monitors. Invest in your monitoring, people. It is so important. And not only is it important, it's enjoyable, because when you listen to music through reference monitors, you hear so much more detail. You can listen to all your favorite albums again and get re-inspired and fall in love with them all over again, which is, I guess that's a good thing as well. Few more questions. My 77 Strat, why'd I put the Sir Michael Landau pickups in it? That's a good question. I got those quite cheap secondhand, and I was just like, it's Sir, I'm just going to try them in this guitar, and they sounded good, and I haven't not liked them for a long time. So that's the thought process there. I think they definitely sound a lot more balanced than the stock pickups that were in there, which were just very, very kind of tinny and twangy, and I wasn't super into. I really like those Landau pickups for what I like, probably because Michael Landau knows what's going on with guitar tones, and so does John Suhr. So very, very cool pickups. This was another question about the Axe-Fx 3, the big stereo detune thing for live. We did a show a couple of weeks ago, and I got to play in stereo. And this is what I did. I stole Cooper Carter's kind of TC Electronic Mimic, which he uses with a lot of his artist clients. Shout out to Cooper. Go and get his Axe-Fx 3 and FM3 class, it's amazing. You should definitely get that. Again, I was talking about how Matt Picone is a master of the axe. So is Cooper. Go and check out his stuff. But anyway, this block's available on the forum as well if you search for it. But it's a dual detune with the mix at 30%. This is really interesting. The detune and level amounts are controlled by random LFOs, and the LFOs are out of phase with one another. So it just gives you this massive, gigantic stereo detune thing without it and then with it. Really, really cool. I think because it's being controlled by that random LFO in there as well, it's a little bit more kind of natural and organic sounding. You just sit there and play E, G, and D all day with this. So that's what's going on in stereo. I'm sure I've done a video with that. One last question. Will I do a gear tour? Well, I've got so much new rack gear recently, and I've actually bought a bunch of pedals as well, which I'm going to be doing some videos with over the next month or so, so look out for those. But I really should do a kind of gear tour, mostly just to check myself for how much stuff I've actually acquired. I'm sure it will make me want to move out some stuff that I'm not really using, but also I'll try and make it a kind of like, this is what all this stuff sounds like. You can hear some of the guitars that I don't play much on the channel, and some of the cool old rack effects and stuff like that, and pedals as well. So that's a good suggestion, as were all the other questions. Again, if you have questions for next week, put them in the video description. I'm going to play you all out with this gigantor lead tone that's going on here. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.